Crazy stuff. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you, Coach?
Good. Great to be back home again. You know, I mean, you have to look at our schedule and look at the season and look at the 2 trips we took in conference and say that type of arduous travel plus a non-conference schedule included 2 Pac-12 teams is a bit uphill. And we played a little bit like it last week, a little worn out. We played not necessarily subdued, but we played a little fatigued last week, and hopefully after a second week at home, and I think we'll play quite a bit better. I'm excited that our run defense has finally caught up to our program. We were devastated in that loss to Portland State of 531 yards, and it has taken us a full month to recover from that loss in our run defense. And last week against a very good UND team, I thought our run defense showed up consistently. We missed a few tackles, quite a few tackles, but we played very good gap control down inside, especially with John Raheem and Nico Taylor down inside. Just did an outstanding job. Our linebacking core, with sometimes we played all 4 of them on the field at the same time, including senior Jake Pettit, who's a non-starter but a quasi-starter for us. I just thought our run defense was outstanding. I thought our plan was good. We gave up 2 uncontested lay-ins, 4 touchdowns in a coverage that we don't play very well yet, and we've got to perfect that coverage. And that really was the difference in the ballgame, because while they were able to control the ball, control the clock, and get first downs, scoring-wise, we don't really care about time of possession as long as we can score effectively and efficiently. And we did some of that last Saturday. Tanner played much better than he's played over the last couple of weeks. I thought we caught the ball extremely well, although we dropped one down the middle. That was about as devastating a non-catch as we've had. So a lot of positive things going on. Look for more the same, more growth, more improvement. The one thing we're featuring this week will be probably 7 freshmen at sometimes on the field on offense. Garrett Smith goes from being a great prospect to being a great starter, I hope, as he gets his first start at right tackle. We'll move Thomas Mazorka down into right guard to battle against the Southern Utah defensive front that's very active, very good against the pass rush, very good size, and they play a range of guys that have great mobility. So a severe challenge for our offensive line to protect Tanner against a defense that really knows how to play. Over the years, Southern Utah has really perfected the defenses that they want to run. Last year witnessed by the fact that 3 guys went into the NFL draft. So a great challenge for us on offense to hold off their pass rush and see if we get some yardage through the air.
Mike, a quarterback's mental approach, mentality is so important in the game. Tanner played pretty well last week, no turnovers. What's the single biggest difference, let's say, from last week to the previous week or the 2 weeks before that? What's changed?
Repetitions. The fact that he's had quality number of repetitions in his career. It's a 10,000 repetition cycle to become a great quarterback. Sometimes guys can do it earlier. Some guys it takes a while, and it's taken Tanner about the normal amount of time. He's at the end of his sophomore season. He's in as a redshirt sophomore. He's in his 3rd fall. He's taken enough repetitions now where he's able to correct himself even during the play. And I think we see growth from him. Not that it's growth forward, but it's not a fallback. Mm-hmm. In that he made a huge mistake in the ball game on 4th down 2 in the first quarter. We called the same play in the 4th quarter. He threw it for completion. So that's the kind of growth, manufactured growth, that he's manufacturing for himself. That's lessening our anxiety over each mistake he makes during practice. I mean, it's been a long process since Justin Ayers graduated to get to the quarterback where we make a mistake in practice and we don't have to correct him, that he's making it himself. So it's made us a lot more calm on offense. We have a lot more confidence in the type of performance he's going to show on Saturday.
What other kind of challenges do Southern Utah?
Well, the quarterback's really good at not making mistakes. He's thrown 12 touchdown passes and only 4 interceptions. They've got 2 running backs that are pretty fast. One guy has 600-some yards, the other guy's got 300 yards. They're pretty multiple on offense. They've retooled their offensive line. They had a pretty a junior-dominated line last year, and they were going to have a lot of guys back this year, but a lot of those guys transferred to BYU where they now start. So Southern Utah's had to retool their offensive front. They have great size. They have a number of players on their team that hail from both Samoa and from Tonga. And so they bring just a huge, monstrous size advantage on both offense and defense. Yet we're not bad ourselves. On defensive line with John Raheem at 335, Nico Taylor about 305. We've got enough size there to battle. And on our offensive front now with Garrett Smith at 335 at right tackle, Thomas Zorka at 340 at right guard, Jacob Molinar at left guard at 335. We've got some big guys too, so a lot of weight being thrown around by both teams on Saturday.
So is that move to start Garrett and then slide Zorka over, was that just for this matchup, or is that just based on?
No, we got one over right guard last week in pass rush. We had a fifth-year senior offensive right guard, and he's just too small. And you can't play football anymore in the Big Sky Conference 270. You just can't. It's not done. 270 is way too light. You get run over in pass pro, and that's what's happened to us.
On defense, it's sort of interesting that they've allowed the most passing yards, but they've forced a decent amount of interceptions. What have you?
And sacks.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you see from the defense?
Well, they play a lot of man-to-man defense. So if you make a catch, you get some run after the catch. There's nobody else around because they play more man than they play zone. So it's a give and take, a yin and a yang. It's a salt and pepper about when you play cover one, you play a lot of man. If you play man and don't get there, and the quarterback throws the ball and you make a catch and you break a tackle, there's a lot of yardage waiting for you.
Sure. And as far as they're as you mentioned, they're good at sacks. Your offensive line has been shuffling. They struggle against the pass, and you guys have been good at the pass. And what do you make kind of those two interesting matchups?
Well, the one thing about us is we're missing two starters, really three starters in our offensive line now that Cody Abbott's banged up again. It's led to sacks. Yet our sacks are more quarterback related than our offensive line overwhelmed related, and that's one of the things that Tanner is starting to understand is that when he's running with the ball, it's bad, unless we've called a run. And last week we only called 7 runs in the game, and one of those was on a quarterback counter. So when our quarterback's running the ball, he's not playing quarterback. He's not playing within the confines of the scope of the play. And so we look for fewer runs from Tanner this week unless we call a lot of quarterback counter and a lot of quarterback power, which, we don't do that stuff like that.
Mike, you've been around the game a long time. The way Southern Utah lost Saturday, does that have, and you've been on both sides of games like that, is there any kind of carryover? Do you expect any kind of carryover?
Yeah, no question, Mark. When you lose a game on the last two possessions of the game, there's a little bit of finger pointing going on in the locker room. There just is. It's just the nature of the beast. Because no one wants to take accountability when they're 18, 19, 20, or 21. It's always somebody else's issue. And that's one of the challenges of a good coaching staff. A good coaching staff is able to take a loss like that, a narrow loss, and turn it into a positive by looking at next week and another opportunity. So for us, it's the same thing. We lost 28-21. We lost to a team who outscored us on a long scoring drive in the start of the third quarter, and then we gave them an uncontested lay-in in the early part of the fourth quarter on a coverage that should have not allowed the score to happen. So what you try to do is correct your mistakes without a lot of finger pointing and name calling, and then you try to move forward. And you try to make sure that during practice your guys are not making the same mistakes twice. That's what happened to Southern Utah. They made mistakes. They quit rushing the passer. They started looking around waiting for another guy to make a play. And I'm sure their coaching staff will work very hard this week on guys playing their position, doing what they need to do, and driving hard inside the play to make the play be a factor. The one thing both teams are looking for, though, who are the players that go on the field this week with the it factor? After 7 games, both teams already know who their players are. Now, can the it players, the guys who know what they're doing all the time, play that way for 60 minutes and be the difference? I think it's a good soap opera for Saturday's game to find out who has that it factor that can bring it from play 1 to play 200.
Who's in your depth at running back this week?
Ty Flanagan will start. Ja'Cory Ford is limited. He will possibly play, I'm not sure yet today, on Wednesday what'll happen, and then of course we'll move James Madison up to number 2. And Michael Dean plays that slot and can play at running back, so just depends on how we feel.
And then who'll be back on kickoffs if Ja'Cory's not out there?
Right now it'd be Michael Dean and Tucker Louie McGee. A couple of flyers.
What do you like from Michael Dean that, is he better in the slot, or is it kind of depend on the situation? What do you
He's way better in the slot. He's too small to play running back because he's a liability in pass protection. Whereas that's Ty Flanagan's strong suit. Ty Flanagan was our player of the game last week and had 1 carry for no yards. because his pass protection was so outstanding. And one of the issues for us playing Ja'Cory at tailback is that Ja'Cory's not as good at pass protection, and it's caused us some concern this season as we've had to make sure that Ja'Cory's in the pattern rather than be in a pass protection situation. Ty Flanagan, a la Xavier Finney, excellent pass protection, as is James Madison.
What does Michael Dean do well out of the slot?
Run fast, catch the ball, score touchdowns, frighten the bejesus out of anybody that he plays against. Man, is he fast. He's really fast, and not only is he fast, but the movement of Hagan Graves inside was also witnessed by his best game this season. And hopefully Hagan, who has that kind of speed, ran 10.6, 100 meters in high school, can show that kind of flashy speed with the ball in his hand on Saturday.
You know, Michael Dean showed some nice hands on that touchdown catch. Was he used as a receiver a lot, do you know, in high school?
Not in high school. Heck no, he played tailback. They played him 10 yards deep and handed him the ball on every play.
Because like I said, that was a nice catch.
He's an excellent all-around athlete. His best sport might be track and field, and his best event might be pole vaulting. I mean, he's just gymnastic, a ball catcher. He could be a corner, he could be a safety, and he could also live under a table and call it a condo. Because he's not very big. And we want to protect him, a la Andrew Benavides, who was knocked out of this program as a true freshman because of maybe too much usage by the previous coaching staff early in his career. So we want to avoid that, allow Michael to grow into being a college player so he doesn't play on every single play. There'll come a time when Michael Dean will be on the field every single play, and that'll be fun. But he's not ready for that right now.
How is the development of an outside receiving threat coming?
Well, it's going good. I really like K-Dub and Josh Cook on the outside. We didn't do a very good job getting the ball to Josh, but Kyle played excellent on the outside last week, and we have the flexibility to move them both back inside and run patterns against the safeties also. So I like where we're at. I like how we're playing. Yeah, we're 2-5, but we're coming off a narrow loss to the leading team in the conference, 28-21 at home, and now we play a team that has struggled a little bit on the road, and we'll just see what we can do.
I know you like to pass it, but do you need to get the running game going a little bit to help Tanner progress?
Oh yeah, we would love to have run the ball effectively last week when we lost Ja'Cory with a midfoot ankle sprain on the first play of the game because Brian Finney-Anganofo went the wrong way the first play. Ja'Cory stepped on him. It thwarted our running game. By the time we were able to get Ty Flanagan in the game as a running back, North Dakota was giving us stuff in the pass. All those passes into the boundaries because they refused to cover the number 2 receiver into the boundary. So we took it as long as we could. And when they started walking guys on the outside, they started opening up more to the middle of the field. And if Tanner could play and we dropped some passes. If we had to drop those passes, I think we'd have been okay.
Mike, you mentioned Southern Utah lost 3 guys to the NFL draft off their defense. Has that changed their defense at all fundamentally this year, or are they doing the same thing?
In fact, Mark, they probably play more guys than anybody else in this conference on defense. They have a 10-man, 11-man rotation in their defensive line. They play different linebackers on every play. They play 6 or 7 defensive backs a game. Doing a good job of squad development, player development, letting guys play and get around the field and make plays. So I admire what they're doing, what they're trying to do after coming off of a Big Sky championship season.